Waking up early is keeping you broke. I've been doing YouTube for a little over 6 years, and this is perhaps the single most contrarian take that I have ever had on this YouTube journey. But hear me out, because by the end of this video, I truly believe that you will agree with the statement that I made at the beginning of this video. First of all, a little while ago, I don't know how long it'll have been by the time I upload this, and as I go throughout this video, you'll understand why that is. But not too long ago, I made a video explaining why I wake up at 12 p.m. every single day. And I don't know what the response will be on that video because at the time of me filming this, I haven't uploaded it yet. But there are some things that I left out of that video that are so important that they warrant me making this video. The first of which being that the most prosperous times of my life invariably have been times where not only was I not waking up early, but I actually didn't use an alarm clock at all. I had no set or scheduled wake up or sleep time. I simply allowed my body to do what it wanted to do. And whenever I do that, typically I sleep from around 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., give or take. These have always been the most objectively prosperous times of my career. So if we go back to summer 2021, for example, where my channel really began to blossom, it skyrocketed from probably 40,000 subscribers to 70 or 80,000 subscribers. That was a period where I was waking up at probably 3 p.m. on average every single day. And it was up to that point, and even to this day, the most prosperous financial season of my whole entire life. And then, if you fast forward to winter 2021, another season of prosperity for me, leading into 2022, again, I was waking up at my own discretion. And even going back to when my channel first started to pop off in 2020, May, June, July of 2020, I was sleeping and waking up whenever I wanted to. And the interesting thing is that all of these periods were immediately preceded by a period where I tried sleeping and waking up early. I would wake up at 6 a.m. and I would make my content, I'd do my workouts, all of these things. I had this elaborate morning routine that I kept trying to impose on myself. And yet, for some reason, it didn't show in my bank account. I wasn't making more money for all of this extra stuff that I was doing. And I never really understood why that was until I made that video about why I wake up at 12 p.m. every single day. You see, one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of people have is that the early bird gets the worm. You've heard that saying before. No matter where you're from, what cultural background you identify with, you have heard that saying before, and maybe you even said it yourself. The early bird gets the worm. But here's the thing about that statement. It's false. It's simply not true, and I'm going to prove exactly why that is. Let's say, for example, that you are a content creator, just like me. Let's say you're a content creator within the same exact space that I inhabit. Now, I'm not somebody who sees myself as being in competition with any other content creator, but let's assume, for the sake of this argument, that you see yourself as being in competition with me. And you say, I'm going to wake up early. I see that Jordan's waking up at 12 p.m. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. so that I can get my video out before his. Well, first of all, that's not really a good strategy because it doesn't really matter when you upload your video. It matters how well your video does. And even if your video gets more views, that doesn't mean it's a more successful video because ultimately there are some components of video performance that are non-quantifiable. For example, the impact that video makes. But I digress. That's a completely different argument. Let's assume that you wake up earlier than me so that you can get your videos off before me. Here's the issue with that. If you think that you waking up before me is going to let you get ahead of me, you've already lost. You've already lost. You've lost the battle and you've lost the war. Why is that? Because the video that you see me posting today, this video right here, for example, I filmed this at least a week ago. It's February 18th as I'm filming this video. In other words, the early bird doesn't catch the worm. The early bird catches the leftovers. They get the best of the leftovers. The worms that I'm eating are worms that I caught a week ago or multiple weeks ago, because I'm so far ahead that I don't need to catch today's food today. And I want you to get into that mentality as well. If, of course, you value the idea of being successful, which I know you do, because not only did you click on this video, but you watch my channel. So you want to be successful. Stop trying to catch today's food today. The early bird does not get the worm. The early bird gets the leftovers. And not only that, but the early bird tends to be sleep deprived. Now, of course, this is assuming that you don't have the discipline to get in bed at the proper time in order to facilitate a full night's sleep while also waking up early. But here's the thing. In the video where I talked about why I wake up at 12 p.m. every day, something that I said, which was so important that I'm going to repeat it, was that it's not so much about what time you wake up. It's more about the consistency of it. It's more about the consistency factor. Can you establish a routine that you can actually stick to for a sustained period of time? And what I found whenever I myself did the whole 6 a.m. thing was that it simply wasn't sustainable for me. I'm somebody who also wants to have a social life. Granted, not a very big social life, but somewhat of a social life. I want to be able to talk to my friends and family. I want to be able to interact with people at my own discretion, albeit, but I want to be able to do it. And in order to do that, in order to facilitate that, I have to be willing to be flexible with my schedule. But when you're waking up at 6 a.m. every single day, that's simply not feasible. You have to sacrifice that component of your life. I remember some years back, before I started YouTube, before I even graduated high school, I think, I saw this little graph, maybe on Twitter. It was a triangle. And at each point of the triangle was a different component of life. At one point of the triangle was sleep. At another point of the triangle was productivity/work or school, if you're in school. And at the third point of the triangle was social life. And in the middle, it said, pick two. Pick two. If you're waking up at 6 a.m. and you want to be able to get enough sleep every night, which you should, because if you're sleep deprived, you're not going to operate at full capacity. You do have to pick two. But if you wake up at noon, like I do, or any other time that fits your particular desires, your particular schedule, you don't have to pick two. You can have it all different ways. You can have it all different ways. You can have a social life. I can still talk to my friends. I can still call up my friends whenever I want, or my family. You can complete all of your work, complete all of your tasks for the day, and you can get enough sleep. And I know this because this is what I do. I do this. This is the lifestyle that I live. I live that balanced lifestyle because of the schedule that I've incorporated into my life. And a big part of the reason why is because of Parkinson's law. Now, if you don't know what Parkinson's law is, I elaborated on that in great detail in the video that I've mentioned throughout this video, the video about why I wake up at 12 p.m. every day. But basically, something else that I want to say about Parkinson's law is that a lot of people, when they wake up really early in the morning, what they actually end up doing is they use that perceived extra time to incorporate these unnecessarily long morning routines full of tasks that aren't actually moving the needle for them. I'm going to give you an example. When I was younger and I would wake up at 6 a.m., I insisted that every morning I would journal, gratitude journal, and meditate. Now, these are all practices that I believe everyone should incorporate in their lives. But that doesn't mean you should necessarily start your day with them. Maybe some days you could start with these tasks, but ultimately, if you want to be successful, I'm going to give you a harsh dose of reality. It's not going to be from your meditation. It's not going to be from your journaling or your gratitude journaling. It's going to be from you doing the work. That is not the work. Do not confuse those things with the work. Unless in your particular case, it literally is the work. If you're a yoga instructor, then yes, meditation is a part of the work for you. But if you want to be a drop shipper, for example, or a day trader, that's not part of your work. That is not your job. So you need to be mindful of all of the unnecessary tasks, the fat, if you will, in your morning routine that is actually keeping you broke. I have videos from 2022 where I wasn't even waking up that early. I was waking up at 10 a.m. every day. And I had this long, drawn out morning routine such that I didn't even start working until 1 or 2 p.m. Didn't make sense. It's no wonder why I went broke. Aside from all of the terrible financial decisions I made, I simply stopped making as much because I implemented all of these unnecessary things. And again, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do these things, but you don't have to make them a part of your routine per se. You can simply do them as is necessary. So if you feel like you need a good journaling session, journal. Instead of gratitude journaling, focus on living a life full of gratitude in your day-to-day life. You don't have to write it out. Just literally, consciously be grateful for the life that you have. And that's enough right there. Meditation, you can meditate in the middle of the day or the night. I meditate every night, and I'm fine. My mental is intact. I'm psychologically as well as I've ever been in my whole entire life. And I'm definitely doing a hell of a lot better than when I was waking up early in the morning, when I had this false belief that waking up early would allow me to get ahead of people. Again, if you are catching today's food today, you've already lost. You're getting the leftovers. I'm the one who has all of the good stuff because I'm so far ahead that really you're never going to catch up. And again, we're not in competition. We're on the same side. But I'm saying this to say that if you want to get yourself out of this position that you're in, maybe you should consider letting go of these false beliefs that people put into your mind that ultimately do not serve you on your path to success.